Aloha friends and neighbors, Rollin here. We're going to do program 1029 of Astrology, Ancient Science in the Modern World. I'm going to get after that first, and then we're going to have more fun with hurricanes. That's me and my son Michael, who's now much older, and so am I. That was Aniki. That's a Maui road just above Kaloa on Kauai, where I had spent a year, rebuilding and manicuring two beautiful little plantation cabins. And behind me is was the best yellow shower tree on the island. That's the only thing left standing on my little farm, was that shower tree and me. Funny story, a big tree limb actually kind of fell on the front part of the roof of that little cabin, the corrugated iron roof. Still has a big dent in it to this day. But that held the roof on. So the tree went over there and kind of held the roof, part of the roof on for the front cabin. So we had a little shelter when we... the tree started to save the house. Okay, we're going after the last week in August. And let's go over the sky mirror and see what's going on. Huh? First of all, Mercury goes retrograde on August 30th. At the last day of the month, Mercury goes backwards. So, if you want to go someplace and finish a deal, or go someplace twice, or finish something up that you started before, you got 3 weeks after this date while Mercury's going backwards. Good time to finish old stuff. And when it goes forward, you're on new ground. And boy, stuff you do then really hangs out. Mars is conjuncting Saturn. Very interesting thing. And I'm not sure what to make of it while I'm doing this show. Because Saturn usually dries things out, makes them colder. And of course Mars is heat. Like there's forest fires all over the west coast, and you're in heat, city here at the end of August. But what happens when Mars goes by Saturn? Well, my prediction is, Saturn stationed. Yeah, it's stationed here just, what was the last weekend for you, on August 13th. And when he stations, he gets really strong. That's why I draw him so large. So here comes little Mars. He's a couple degrees off. When you start in the middle of your next week, he goes right by Saturn. Now I would think some people would say, well, this is anger. This is dreadful, mean, aggressive, killing stuff, because Saturn's a grim reaper. The great malefic, huh? Mars is the lesser malefic. So here's Mars is the soldier and Saturn is the general. And the question is, what are they doing? Well, one thing, they're going after Neptune. Look out. Drugs, alcohol, priests, doctors, religion. And there's also over here, there's some problems going on because the sun hits this thing and squares it at the end of next week, and it makes this thing much more difficult. So, but I would say that Mars going by Saturn here is going to cool Mars off. He's going to get disciplined, and judged. And, if there's any young men out there that have done bad, selfish things, whether you're in the military, the police, if you're just a private gangster, whatever you've done, if you've been out there hurting people and animals and stuff, and you've done bad things, well, it's a good time to judge yourself before the judge gets you. Yeah, people generally judge themselves, It all comes around. So let's see what else we got here. Mars is going by Saturn. Mercury is conjuncting Jupiter. Happens Monday, kind of goes on all week. And in the same way, see, I've drawn Mercury just a little bit large here because Mercury is stationing at the end of the month, and that makes him very strong. So what happens when Mercury goes by Jupiter? Normally I'd say, well, Jupiter's going to pump up Mercury. But I think here we're going to see some wisdom. Mercury is words and letters and communications. You know, when he goes by Jupiter, wise men, lawyers could be unmasked, could be said too much. Maybe they said too much. Maybe it was recorded. I don't know. I expect some wisdom's going to come out of this. And the messenger, Mercury, is going to go by and get the messages from the ACLU and the wise people in the law situation. And maybe now we'll understand why our law system stinks so bad, why it's such a horror to the citizens, huh? So when Mercury stops at the end of August, he's going to deliver a lot of messages and go backwards over Jupiter again. And we have a chance to question him. What do you mean the lawyers say the justice system stinks? Yeah, it does. Think about, what it's like. Well, not right now. We'll get into this Saturn thing a little bit later. But I'm still into playing. I'm back here on August 2nd doing this show, so I want to play with hurricanes a little more. I've been specializing in the Uranus stuff, and we still got a little action going on here. Well, you don't. You're actually out of that whole thing. Here's my old ephemeris. I'll get back to this in a little bit. But the green lines here were those Mondays, basically, when you were prone to big winds and stuff, yeah? And we had one here. And the hurricane went by Poipu. Actually, I went right over Poipu. My spies down there on the west side of Kauai said everything just was quiet. It was calm. It was the exact opposite. And when we really looked, we found out it was the eye. The storm had gone down considerably in power, but it was still rather large. And the eye of the thing went right over Poipu and Koloa and my little house over there on Oahu Road. And when the eye goes over, it's super calm, just the opposite. So it went where it's supposed to go. It just didn't do what people commonly think. The eye of a big storm or a little storm, really calm. So here's another one. This one here. This is happening in Hong Kong. And then here we have a chance for Hurricane Harold, I think, but begins with an H, to go by the islands here. And, you've already seen that. And there was one final chance here for Uranus. And this orange line represents you're out of that whole trouble. And now we're not going to do Uranus stuff anymore. But you're still stuck with Saturn. Saturn's stationed. And there's the judge. There's depression if you happen to be in those degrees of mutable signs. So if you're, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 degree Sag, boy, Saturn's getting you and you got to slow down and, or if you're in Gemini, this could be tough. You're a Gemini and this first half of Gemini, look out, here come the judge. Or if you're Virgo or Pisces, and you're sitting there at 8 to 12 degrees too, you're going to get delayed a lot of stuff you do. And that delay goes all the way through 20 days here after the station. So it carries you through the latter part of August. Let's look at the details of it, okay? Because it's an interesting time. And I've set it up to watch the daily activities by running the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern. And as it makes angles to the various planets, it generates the mood of the times. Now, this isn't your chart, no, but if you had, the more people you have together, the more they follow it. You could go off a little early, a little late. Sometimes it's even good. If you were on Thursday and you got that Mars hit, maybe you're angry and impatient. Thursday night was right here. Dinner time and after dinner time. Some of you might get this good and go out and do some real work. But here's Thursday night, and the moon's going by Neptune and sitting a square to Saturn and to Mars. And this is an ugly night when the drunks go into road rage and stuff. And they start their road rage at dinner time, and it gets worse because they pump it up with alcohol. Look out. So there's confusion here. and everybody is hating Saturn. Oh, the laws, the rules, the regulations. I used to laugh sometimes when I was hating Saturn. I'd go to an intersection carefully where there was a little stop sign, and nobody there, I'd drive right through it. Oh boy, that's hard to do. Anyway, it's kind of sharp here. The little red lines, real late Thursday. And consider it early Friday morning, because it goes all the way through to about here, Friday, the 19th. And here's, thank heavens the police showed up, but it still doesn't help much. There's some discovery and control here, but it degenerates. Venus is over there. She's in trouble. Look out, the girls, the little sisters are all having problems, and there's no rest. No. And you go into later Friday night, here's the opposition to Mercury. Now, Mercury's going to slow down and stop, and so he's very strong. And here's the opposition to Jupiter, and there's too much noise and too much talk, and everybody's running around and overdoing it, especially the young ones. So Friday night is not very comfortable either. It goes right through Saturday morning. Stay in late. You might avoid some of this. Before lunch Saturday, the moon shifts into Aries, has a whole different feeling, on the 20th. And there's actually a nice trine to Mars and Saturn Saturday night late. So eat a light dinner. You might feel like getting some constructive work done Saturday evening. Be good for you. Sunday, on the 21st, the moon's still in Aries, makes a square to Pluto. A little dicey and panicky here in the middle of Sunday. But as you go on through Sunday, you get clear here to, this is actually 2 o'clock in the morning in Hawaii time, these lines. So here's the moon's going by Uranus, at 3 a.m. And it's, I would say, shaky and twirly. But you're out of the zone. Uranus has not got the influence that it had before. And I don't expect anything's going to come up, except you might find you're waking up kind of early Monday morning and can't go to sleep. That's a symptom of Uranus. Sudden awakening. Yes, can be good for you. On Monday, there's a nice trine to the sun around the middle of the day, and the moon shifts into Taurus, and it's very constructive, and has a whole different vibe to it. Taurus is a fixed Earth sign, goes from here to there, and so you could have a pretty good couple of days here. Nice solid stuff. Make a plan Monday afternoon. And on Tuesday, there's inspiration. The moon sextiles Neptune early in the morning. Get up, play some music. Go and discover stuff in the middle of the day. There's a trine to Pluto. Moon's in Taurus. Get some stuff done. There could be rewards Tuesday night. This is late. Again, here we got 2 a.m. in the morning. And here's trines to Venus, sweetness, sexiness, oh boy, and Mercury, good words, truth and honesty come out here. Good words and truth and honesty come out between breakfast and lunch on Wednesday. So this is a nice little period. Rewards Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. Nice talk, good wisdom coming out. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to the kids, Wednesday afternoon, here about dinner time, the moon squares the sun. It starts to get a little rough, hard to get things done. The moon is shifted into Gemini, and not so easy. There's a square, or opposition to Saturn here. The opposition to Saturn and the square to Neptune and the opposition to Mars is all happening here Thursday, first half of the day, August 25th. Not a good day to plan on doing too much. If you do, there's going to be problems with liquids, problems with rules, regulations, slowdowns. Everybody was late, and they forgot about the fire, and the flammable liquids were there, and so this is classic fire time, and it's hard to stop Mars. If he's got something going here, the general's with him, and the priest artist doctors are here, and they can pump this up. So hopefully it's more like handling it. It all got squared, and the fires got dimmed out, even though they ran out of firefighting chemicals, which was another story in my time. So Thursday's a difficult day. Friday morning, there is a sextile to Uranus. There's some technical stuff going on that might be helpful, a little individuality, but it's still not an easy day because here's the square to Venus and to Mercury, and we can't talk, and there's no rest, and Friday doesn't feel like a time to go out and have fun. Nope. The moon shifts into Cancer after dinner, feels a little better then. But Saturday, you know, there's a nice sextile to the sun in the morning. You've got a plan. In the middle of the day, there's a nice trine to Neptune on 27th, and there's inspiration. And then there's a little panicky thing here after dinner when the moon opposes Pluto, which continues a little bit into Sunday. In the middle of the day, the moon squares Uranus. But, you know, I'm trying to remember to keep quiet about this. This is not going to be a great disruption of wind and electricity and things like we had already. This time is done. And it shows here because no sooner do you go through the little glitch point in the middle of Sunday than here's sextiles to Venus and to Jupiter and to Mercury. Have fun, play with the kids. There's lovingness here and affection and relaxation and sweets. And do it Sunday night. That's the time. Let's play with hurricanes some more. And earthquakes. So here's my green line analysis. They're all on Mondays, huh? Basically revolving around the stationing of Uranus. And back on the 25th we had Darby. And here we are on the 1st of August, and the hurricane hit Hong Kong. Oh yeah. And then here, probably on the 8th, on this green line, we have a chance for Harold to go by the islands. And so we're still not out of the fun with hurricane zones. And this one here, if Harold does come in close, is probably likely to follow the same path that Darby did, because we're all underneath that July 4th chart, that new moon. And for the record, here I am on the 2nd, and this is hurricane or tropical storm Nida. You know, playing with word games. Tropical storm, hurricane, oh, it's... Anyway, the path went along here and went right through Hong Kong. And this was Monday, huh? It was right about here. And so we had a Monday hit, and it got pretty fierce there too. Here I am now. I'm on Tuesday. It's over here. But that we knew it was going to hit there, didn't we? Let me show you a little more about this one. Some places, Nida looked pretty fierce. Again, and not the kind of thing that was a real killer, but definitely of note. There it is, twirling around. See, it's one of those twirling things. Okay, here we are on August 2nd. You know that the word hurricane comes from the Mayan word huracan. And huracan was a twirling, went around and around and limped. He had one-legged twirling god, huracan. Here he is. And let's see where he's going by the same track, I think. There it is. Here's the islands. And they've got this guy going. Now this is, here around the 8th, there's another Monday twirling thing. There's another one coming in behind here, trying to catch up. Anyway, Might as well get used to these hurricanes, you know. I don't think we're going to see inikis necessarily, but, you know, a little storm. The nice thing, there's a mystic in India said hurricanes bring brotherhood. Yes. And I joke with people, I say, you know what happens when your electricity goes out too long? Well, your freezer isn't working and all that meat in there, what are you going to do? So you go out in the front yard and set up your barbecue and invite your neighbors over, and everybody has a big party, you know, with all those steaks and things that were going to be spoiled if you didn't use them. There's the brotherhood. Go over there next door and ask if your neighbor needs that extra tarp you have. It happened all over after Iniki. Kauai was a wonderful place after Iniki. You know the neat thing about it? There were no stoplights, no electric lights. And man, you could drive places, and the accident rate went way down. People were watching each other. So hurricanes have a lot of neat benefits. Even in Hurricane Eva, I was downtown in the safety office. I had to go to Manoa and UH, and Eva had knocked out all the traffic signals in Honolulu. And everybody said, oh, don't go, don't go. I said, no, I got to go. I went anyway, and I got there twice as fast as usual. You came to an intersection, people watched each other and signaled. The only place there was any snarl was when a policeman was trying to direct it. If you let the people do it, oh boy, it worked smooth. I got to UH and back downtown so fast, it was a pleasure to drive. Hurricanes, huh? Okay, for the record, and because hopefully there's some astrologers out there who are learning this. I hope so, because we need 5,000 to cover China. We need 10,000 to cover the U.S. and the English-speaking world, and maybe 20,000 for the world. If we had that many working astrologers, oh boy, we'd have lots of previews. We'd know what was coming up. So this is a July 4th lunation, and to recap, where is it? Uranus. It's a dotted line right here. Here's Uranus. Now we're tracking him because he's stationed, right, in the middle of July. No, it wasn't. It was the end of July. It was the 30th of July. So we know that this guy gets really strong, and if you follow this dotted line up, hard to follow it dotted, there it is. Goes through Indonesia a bit, up through the Philippines. I won't bore you with tracking it, but that little dotted line goes right through Hong Kong there. And that's what you're seeing on Monday the 1st and the 2nd. And so we knew where it was going, and we got the timing down. And this is a week after Darby, and the name of this was Nida. And it hit this little town pretty strong. That's where I think the people being blown around in the wind came from. A little follow-up. It's always wise to do the chart for the exact location to see how the hurricane looks. Can't just rely on that astrocartography map. When you do that in Hong Kong, look at that. Here's Uranus. And you can track that baby, how close it was. 2414, your home is there in Hong Kong at 2402. So this is only 12 minutes off the angle of your homes. Yeah. And who is disturbed? Well, people went into a little bit of a panic. Pluto's on the 1st. But over here is the moon and Mercury and the sun. And it was a new moon. And there were kids out there. And everybody was getting blown around in the wind. Huh? Just a couple notes. There was a quake under my house when Darby was going by. There were 3 of them all together along the Kona coast. I went over Poipu and got calm. Pluto at the top of the chart turns out not to be so much policeman directing you, but brown water, you know, especially in Oahu, all the sewage treatment plants overflow. Listen, folks, a long time ago I was with OSHA. Those guys that worked in the sewer wanted hazardous duty pay. the government didn't want to give it to him, so they got OSHA to go investigate. So I went and looked, you know, and I didn't do E. coli, that's baloney, but I looked at 20 years of health records on those guys, about 500 of them, and you know, I'm looking for skin problems and lung problems and diarrheas, and you know what? They were twice as healthy as all the other county workers. So the guys that work in brown water all the time are healthier than the other employees. It's sterile. You don't have to fear brown water. No, it's sewage. Sewage is sterile. Wow. Finally, here's the villain of the week. Turns out they're terrorizing people in the Philippines, and they're going after little minor street dealers in drugs, and he just goes and sends gangsters to assassinate them. And he's terrorizing anybody he sees as Neptune. This man is a devil, and he's killing. And so I wanted to get some chart work on him, and I couldn't find his birth time. They don't have it. So what you do is a solar chart, like the sun is rising. And what do I see? He's got Saturn here, the Grim Reaper, squaring Neptune, the sun opposing Neptune. This guy is built to kill Neptune. He didn't like the church. He argued with the church about birth control, but he thinks he's going to make himself famous by killing Neptune people. And he's going after teenage girls. Somebody said, she deals drugs, and his thugs go down there and horribly kill her. What's going on? There's a devil loose in the Philippines, you know, and he thinks he's doing what, you know, ugh. They call him Roddy, and it says the girls, oh, they really like Roddy. He's a character. He drives around on motorcycles. But the guy, his chart reminds me of this one, the Friar Delanda, who killed umpteen Mayans and burned all the books. And he is another demon who got loose. And nobody stops these demons for some reason. No, it's kind of scary. Okay, here's a real Neptune devil. It's Terminex and the people who use all these chemicals to kill weeds and insects. And somebody over in high-priced condos, Terminex went in and used methyl bromide, which is colorless and odorless, to kill bugs. And man, they did in a family of 4. Chlorine, fluorine, and bromine are halogens. All you got to do is attach them to methyls and ethyls, and they kill, and they don't go away. Shame on you, Terminex. You should put Terminex just out of business, period.